Jaw Shark, Learn English Through Stories. The story is about three men face to face with a shark, leading to a gripping battle for survival on the open sea. Once upon a time, a quiet night by the sea turned into an unexpected adventure. There was a big fish swimming silently in the dark water. It moved closer to the shore where a bright house stood along a long beach. Out of that house emerged a man and a woman. They dashed excitedly to the shore, the man relaxing while the woman, despite the warm June night, felt the chilly water as she ventured in alone. As she swam, calling out to the man to join her, she couldn't see a fish lurking about 100 meters away. Unaware of the danger, she swam farther, feeling a bit tired but then turned back toward the shore. At that moment, the fish sensed movement in the water and started moving closer, while the woman, about 70 meters away from safety, started swimming faster. Suddenly, the fish lunged, hitting the woman's leg, causing her distress. She cried out in pain, but the fish, surprisingly, pushed her upward out of the water, holding her in its mouth before disappearing beneath the surface. Meanwhile, the man, unaware of these events, woke up in the dark, feeling cold. Finding the woman's shoes on the beach and her room empty, he grew worried, seeking help from the authorities to search the shoreline. Soon, the police arrived, searching the beach and the house, but the woman was nowhere to be found. The man, joined by the officers, walked down to the beach, pointing out where he found the shoes and where he had last seen the woman. The mystery of her disappearance remained unsolved as they continued their search. Brody, Hendricks, and Cassidy decided to search the beach. The sand felt cold and wet under their feet. As they walked, Hendricks spotted something and cried out. It was a woman's head and part of her arm. Brody and Cassidy hurried over, and Marody, arriving first, sadly confirmed it was her. Brody met with his friend, Harry Meadows, a reporter. They suspected a shark attack, discussing Matt Hooper's insights, believing it was a great white shark, known as a man-eater. Meadows felt it was crucial news but didn't want to publish it to avoid scaring visitors during the summer season. Brody wanted to close the beaches temporarily but faced resistance from Larry Vaughn, a prominent town figure. Vaughn feared economic loss during the upcoming 4th of July weekend, begging Brody not to close the beaches to avoid scaring tourists. Despite his concerns, Brody reluctantly agreed not to close the beaches, deferring to Vaughn's wishes. He returned home, sharing the distressing news with his wife. Despite his desire to act, he felt helpless due to Vaughn's opposition to any actions regarding the shark incident. As the summer days heated up, tourists from New York arrived in Amity. Old Mill Beach was bustling with people on Sunday, June 20th. Children played near the water, and a curious 6-year-old boy asked his mother if he could go out on his boat. She agreed but warned him not to swim or go too far. The boy paddled out on his boat, unaware of the danger lurking beneath the surface. A shark, sensing movement, approached slowly and then swiftly attacked the boat, pulling the boy and the boat underwater. The attack happened so fast that the boy couldn't even cry out before losing his legs. Meanwhile, on the beach, a man noticed the commotion in the water and pointed it out to his child. People started fleeing the sea as panic spread. The boy's mother suddenly remembered her son, and chaos ensued. Brody, having received a distressing call about the shark attack on a child, regretted not closing the beaches, feeling responsible for the tragic incident. He rushed to the police station, deeply disturbed by what had happened. The grief-stricken mother of the attacked boy came to Brody's office, where Brody apologized, and she began crying. Suddenly, Hendricks rushed in, announcing the shark attack. Brody clarified that the woman was the mother of the boy who had become a victim. On Monday morning, Brody found a newspaper reporting the tragic incident. He discussed the matter with Meadows, who had written about it. They pondered whether it was the work of a single great white shark. Meadows suggested attracting the shark with food to catch it, but Brody lacked the resources for such an operation. As they spoke, the boy's mother burst into the room, angry and holding a newspaper. She blamed Brody for knowing about the shark danger but not taking action, accusing him of causing her son's death. Brody struggled to explain, feeling responsible but unable to find the right words to console her. Maroney sat on the beach, gazing at the sea. Hendrick approached Brody, discussing Ben Gardner's expedition to find the shark but not spotting him on his boat. Brody agreed to go check, though he was anxious as he wasn't a good swimmer. They set off in a fast boat. Brody tried calling Gardner's wife but got no response. As they approached Gardner's boat, named Flicka, they slowed down. Brody called out to Gardner but received no answer. Suddenly, they heard noise from the radio, indicating it hadn't been turned off intentionally. Upon boarding, they found 4 holes in the boat. Hendrick, diving into the water, discovered something white in one of the holes. He retrieved a large white tooth, worrying Brody about the possibility of the shark harming Gardner. Brody saved the tooth, realizing it might hold vital clues. Brody, Meadows, and Hooper returned almost in darkness. Meadows introduced Hooper, and Brody shared what they discovered, finding the tooth from a huge great white shark. Hooper believed the fish had killed Gardner, possibly pulling him overboard, as sharks attack almost everything they encounter. Brody offered a boat to Hooper, but Gardner's boat would only be available the next day. Brody expressed a desire to have someone eliminate the shark. Hooper suggested Quint, a fisherman near Promised Land Beach, but Brody felt frustrated that others didn't comprehend the seriousness of the situation. The next day, Vaughn suggested reopening the beaches for the 4th of July, but Brody adamantly refused, determined to catch the shark before considering reopening the beaches, still reeling from the recent tragedies. Despite the town's decline, Brody felt powerless and determined to keep the beaches closed. Hooper, surveying the waters, couldn't find any signs of the shark and suggested reopening the beaches. However, Vaughn, in a meeting with important figures, insisted on reopening the beaches due to economic concerns. Brody disagreed, causing Vaughn's anger. When Brody received a call from Meadows, who suggested opening the beaches despite his disagreement, Brody realized he couldn't stop Vaughn. Brody decided to compromise, agreeing to open the beaches but ensured Hooper patrolled the waters to alert everyone of potential danger, wanting people to be aware of the risk. Despite the reopening, Brody sought to protect the town from any potential threat. Brody stood watch on Scotch Road Beach while Hooper patrolled the waters in Gardner's old boat. The beach was sparsely populated, mostly with young people avoiding the sea due to recent shark concerns. As Brody monitored, a family approached, curious about the shark reports. Brody assured them that the shark wasn't around, hoping it stayed away. Shortly after, fewer people remained on the beach. Brody, noticing a boy heading into the water, cautioned him about swimming too far. Marody watched the boy swim out while the Flicker boat began moving faster. Brody, alerting Hooper, communicated via radio, discovering that Hooper also spotted something but couldn't clearly identify it. They both observed the boy swimming in the water. Brody noticed a boy swimming far out and tried to alert him, but the boy couldn't hear. Brody asked Hooper for help, who maneuvered his boat towards the boy. Underwater, the shark sensed movement and started following the boat. As the boy swam back, Hooper urged him to return to the shore. The boy stumbled, and just as he stood, Hooper warned about the shark. In a swift rescue, Brody pulled the boy from the water, and the shark swam away. However, a man from the TV crew appeared, asking for a reenactment, angering Brody. He closed the beach, ensuring nobody went near the water. In search of assistance, Brody considered Quint, prompting a call. Quint agreed to help after learning about the recent shark threat, willing to tackle the dangerous fish for the town. They set out early in the morning. Brody rested while Hooper scattered food for the shark and Quint watched the waters with fishing lines. Suddenly, they felt a tug on the line, but the shark broke free. They tried again with a stronger line, hoping to lure it closer. As they waited, Cooper spotted the shark's head emerging from the water, a short distance away. They saw its eyes, mouth, and sharp teeth. Quint readied his harpoon, but the shark disappeared underwater before he could strike. They went back to the boat, and Hooper suggested using a large cage to take photos underwater. Quint firmly refused, thinking it was too risky. Hooper persisted, wanting those pictures, but Quint insisted they were out there to kill the fish, not take pictures. Hooper was determined, but Quint stood his ground, refusing to allow the cage on his boat, worried it would attract the shark. There was a clear disagreement between them about the purpose of their trip. They set off despite Brody's objections. Hooper paid Quint $100 against Brody's wishes. On the boat, they aimed to return to the same spot. Brody wondered if the shark would be there, recalling its unexpected actions. Quint assured him that sharks don't always act cleverly and shared a story about a close encounter he had with a shark long ago. As they sailed, Quint signaled to start baiting the water. They patiently waited, dropping fish food in the ocean. Suddenly, Quint spotted the shark. Hooper got excited, but Quint advised waiting and drawing the shark closer with more food. Quint grabbed a harpoon as the shark circled the boat, but the fish didn't approach. Quint threw food and bottles into the water to lure it closer. When the shark finally came within 10 meters, it vanished suddenly, leaving the men puzzled. Hooper suggested using a cage to attract the shark, but Brody objected, concerned for Hooper's safety. Despite Brody's warnings, Quint allowed Hooper to get in the cage. However, when Hooper planned to dive, Quint and Brody expressed their doubts about the danger. Despite their concerns, Hooper was determined to proceed. Hooper got into the cage and it was lowered 2 meters below the water's surface. Initially, he saw nothing but some smaller fish. Suddenly, the shark swam toward the cage. Hooper watched the shark with fascination, even touching it briefly. However, the shark suddenly struck the cage, creating a hole in it. Hooper tried to signal to bring the cage up, but Quint hesitated, wanting the shark to come to the surface first. The shark pushed its head through the hole in the cage, and Brody and Quint were alarmed, trying to figure out what to do next. In this part of the story, the situation turns dire as the shark attacks the cage and ultimately takes Hooper in its jaws. Brody and Quint attempt to act, but the shark dives with Hooper in its mouth. Despite Quint's determination to kill the shark, Brody is left troubled and conflicted by the events. Later, Brody goes home and informs his wife, Ellen, about the day's tragic events. Ellen, understandably upset and worried, questions Brody's intentions to confront the shark again. Brody's response hints at his inner conflict, but he's unable to articulate his feelings fully to Ellen. Brody and Quint head out to sea to confront the shark once more. As they wait, the shark unexpectedly appears, attacking the boat fiercely, damaging it severely. Quint attempts to provoke the shark, trying to draw it out for an opportunity to kill it. The situation becomes dire as the shark starts to approach the boat again, putting them in imminent danger. The shark's relentless attacks leave Brody and Quint on edge, uncertain of their fate as they face off against the powerful predator. Early in the morning, Brody, Hooper, and Quint head out to sea to confront the shark that has been causing havoc near Amity. They use bait and harpoons, trying to lure and fight the shark. But things take a dangerous turn when the shark attacks their boat, creating a hole. Quint valiantly fights back, but the shark's aggression intensifies. As they try to outmaneuver the shark, it becomes clear that it's not backing down. Despite Quint's efforts with harpoons, the shark damages the boat severely, causing Quint to lose his life. Brody, now alone and facing the relentless shark, witnesses Quint's sacrifice as the shark pulls him underwater. In a moment of peril, the shark comes close to Brody, but then unexpectedly retreats, allowing Brody a chance to swim back to safety on the shore. The battle ends in tragedy, with Quint sacrificing himself to save Brody, leaving a lasting impact on Brody's life and the harrowing encounter with the formidable shark.